Welcome to this tutorial series on Age of Wonders 4. My name is DasTactic, and we're going to be looking at the race ruler, or the faction ruler. We did the faction race last time, so this is going to be the faction ruler in this particular episode. It should be a lot shorter than the previous one. And this one here, we're just going to go through the different types of rulers. Now, I do actually have the Dragon Dawn DLC. You can see down the bottom there, this one comes in at Dragon Dawn, where you can go and create an actual dragon. Now, I'm going to be probably just trying to focus more on the basic game rather than the actual other additions. There will be other styles, I guess, that will come in over time. So if you are watching this, just hover over each one of these and really get an understanding of what you're going to be getting from the different types of rulers. So in this case, we've got champions, we've got wizard kings, we've got the dragon lord. And so the champion is a ruler risen from the ranks of their people. All cities have plus 10% gold income and plus 20% city stability. Now, city stability, if you're unsure about anything, just hover over it. It will then tell you what actually happens. So high stability boosts food and production. Low stability reduces all city income, so all the different incomes. So if we go, for example, into the highest one, which is harmony, we get plus 15% production for production, draft, and food. Now, production ends up defaulting back to what does that one default to? I think that this one becomes surplus. Leftover, it doesn't just become surplus, it actually changes into something else. It may be food, I can't remember which one it actually does go for. If we just go back into here again, we've got draft. Food is for your city growth, this is important. Draft, I think, becomes gold, and I think that production ends up becoming food or something like that. So stability is really quite important to actually sort of have that under control. So a champion is raised from the race that you had created. Now, in the last one, we've been creating a dwarven faction. We've still got the same dwarven faction open, so that's what we'll sort of be generating in through here. All non-hero units gain plus 20% XP, so your actual followers level up faster. And that's very, very valuable. So that's all going to be good. And you start with plus 100 relations with free cities because you're coming from the same portal that you're moving into. So you are a member of the people that you're in charge of. And so when I go and click on this one, we had chosen the dwarves last time. And that's what we're going to get. We're going to get a dwarven leader that's going to be part of the dwarven faction that we had chosen before. We can't change the actual leader from anything other than the dwarf. Okay, so that's what a hero does. Now, depending on the hero, actually I might do it with another hero just so we can sort of look at changing all of these different aspects. But that's that particular one. If we just go back again. The next one is the Wizard King. Now, the Wizard King, the backstory of the Wizard Kings, these have come from Mage Haven or from some other portal, some other area. These are accomplished mages and have entered the portal to take over an existing faction within the portal. And so all cities have extra mana income, so they're much more sort of magically aligned. They've got plus 5 world map casting points and combat casting points per level of the Wizard King. So they can cast more spells. So if you're wanting to have more of a spell-oriented sort of run, then you want a Wizard King. Wizard Kings have the over-channel ability in combat. And so these can actually then go and allows you to cast an additional spell this turn. So you can actually cast more. So the focus is very much on magic when you come in as a Wizard King, whereas a champion is very much more on sort of like almost a physical presence raising from the actual group that you started off with. So that's the backstories between these two. Works very, very well. You're going to end up with more gold and more sort of mundane abilities through the champion. You're going to end up with more mana and more magical abilities with the Wizard King. The Dragon Lord through the DLC is a mighty dragon. So and we had a look at this before in the last episode, just sort of when we were randomly generating a few different things. We did generate a few different dragons. I will cover this as well. In fact, I might just do that one now just to get this one out of the way. I'll do this one fairly fast. So this one here has got a dragon horde. The more of the different sorts of objects you actually have that you don't use but you actually control, you end up getting gold for those. So you end up getting gold through the horde, and this can be a very, very valuable source of loot for you. They've got a 30 gold unit upkeep and cannot equip most hero items. So they don't actually get to have the various sorts of armor and weapons that the actual champions and wizard kings can use, but they do have some. And Dragon Lords have access to powerful hero skills and transformations. They can really level up quite dramatically, to be honest, into becoming really, really powerful dragons. So if I go and click on the Dragon Lord, we'll find that the dwarves are still sitting in there behind, but they're now controlled by this particular dragon. Now, again, I can just randomize the look of it. And so we can sort of have a look to see what this one's coming through as. And so I'll just get something that sort of, yeah, that one looks fairly unusual. You can chop and change. I won't go through what all of these different things do. You can always just zoom in to have a look at the head. So you can actually sort of really sort of focus on what happens with the head area of whatever unit that you're actually sort of working on. Now, this one in here, if you scroll to the very, very top, it will then have what type of dragon it's going to be. So make sure that you choose the type of dragon that you want. Now, there's 6 different types relating to the 6 different types of affinity. So Astral Affinity is going to give you lightning damage, and that'll change the look of the inside of their mouth. So there'll be sort of more like a bluish white. The Chaos Dragon is a fire dragon. You can see there's a bit more, you can see just inside his mouth there, bit of red inside the mouth for the Chaos Dragon. There he goes, a flame dragon. You've then got a Materium dragon. Now, these are just purely physical. So this just does physical damage. The Nature dragon is green inside. It does poison damage. The Order dragon does spirit damage in through here as well. And so very, very good against the undead, for example. And Shadow dragon does frost damage. So this is like a frost dragon, and so it's got sort of like a purple color inside there. So they're the different affinities that we see up through here. So again, choose what you want up in through this side. It's it's going to be just your style of play. So there's a lot you can do with the dragons, but we're not going to be focusing too much on the actual dragons this time around. So let's just move out. There's still our same old dwarves there from last time. So that just leaves the Wizard King. So let's have a bit of a look at the Wizard King. Now, again, this one is just going to be a member of the actual race that we chose from, but the Wizard King can be anyone. So we go and click on Wizard King, and we'll just go and build it up. Now, in this case, it's coming as a dwarf. Now, let's just go through all of the different choices that you actually have. Now, this is the same choices you have also, whether they come as a champion or not, where we've got the different, actually, it may not be. Let's just go back and have a quick look at champion, and just see what their drop downs actually are. Yeah, they've got a different set of drop downs. They've got a more basic set of drop downs in through this side. By the way, if you're wanting to sort of figure out what they actually going to look like in game, change the pose. I wish this was by default back to the start. You'll then get to see what is actually happening here. I do wish that they had done this so it always started at the very, very first rung, because it will then put on the weaponry that you're then going to have with the actual game, with the unit itself. If I go and sort of redo this one and then just push it back there again, I'm still going to end up with the same weaponry there. Now, to change the loadouts, this can be quite important for your start. You've got shield and hammer. Some of these little unlocks in through here come through with the Pantheon. So you unlock these through the Pantheon. But the basic ones are shield and hammer. So you've got an industrious hammer, wooden shield, hero mount, and vigor. These do change a little bit, I think, also with depending on the culture that you choose. The great hammer is more of a shock unit. So this becomes more of a sort of shock style unit, where he can sort of rush in and do bigger damage with his hammer. We've then got a crossbow. So it becomes like more of an archer, so a bit more like the arbalists. We've got ourselves a druid staff. In fact, we've got more of them down here. Fire staff. So the fire staff in this stage, he becomes more of a support type character with this particular style. And then the last one is the fire orb, where he becomes like an actual mage, like a fire mage. So that's actually, well, he's actually not a fire mage. He just comes in with mage abilities at the very, very start. So they're the different flavors of heroes that you can then go and get. Let's just go back out. We'll now do the Wizard Kings. So when we bring this one in, he's got his different helmet. I'll just different hat. I'll bring it. See how the race is changing. These can be of any race, so it can be anything you like at all. I'll just see if we can generate a random dwarf. I think that is a dwarf actually. So yeah, let's just go with this one here. Again, just change the pose back down to the first one. You can see it's slightly different with the way it does look, because these have not come from the same race that you've actually generated at the back. These have come from a whole different dimension. And so these have got different sorts of loadouts. The Godir sword and shield. So these are Godir. These are sort of like ascended beings that are coming into the world to then take things over. And so the Godir shield is not going to have anything more really. It's got a bit of spirit damage in through there. Yeah, so it's got different abilities back in through that other side as well. I'll skip over these as well. We've got the Godir Great Axe. And so this one is, again, another shock unit, but using an axe rather than the hammer. We've got ourselves the Godir Bow. So this is going to be like more of an actual archery rather than the crossbow only has one shot. This will have 3 shots, but doing less damage. The next one that we have is the Spirit Staff. And so again, more of a sort of support type unit, but with more sort of spirit damage rather than fire damage. And then finally we have the Lightning Orb. And so this one is an orb that does a lot more lightning damage rather than sort of like fire type damage. And so they're the different flavors that you get, but you really can pick and choose these to be whatever sort of form that you want this one to be. So we can go from Tigran all the way through with whatever we want back in through here. So it can be literally anything. Any of the different races and factions that we actually end up having. So you don't have to choose just the actual form itself. So you can, as I say, you can sort of pick and choose anything that you actually like. But again, these are going to be much more magical in what they do. And then from here, you can then sort of go and start to sort of change things up a little bit with whoever you want to actually then have, make them look different ways. Again, if I just keep on sort of redoing this one, it looks like a elf, crocodile, or a lizard man. A goblin, a dwarf has come back in there again as well. Some sort of probably halfling, I would guess. A tigran, a human. So again, just these are wizards that have come in to dominate a society. And so that's pretty much it as far as the actual creation. But just make sure you do pick and choose. Like, just go back to the pose, make it go back to pose number 1 so you can see what they're going to have. It is very important to do that. And then just go across and choose what you actually do want to have for your particular unit. So yeah, Lightning Orb, I'd probably go with that in this sort of instance if I was going to have a magical character sort of run the show. Once you've done this and your race, and then gone and chosen the colours that you're sort of happy with, I'll just go with purple and orange, for example. In this case, just choose a symbol. What should we choose? An anvil, that'll do for now. Just go select. And we then get to choose how these are going to then be sort of formed. Now, we've got like the different sorts of titles. We've got Earth Shaper, Earth Mother. Earth Mother, Earth Shaper, Emperor and Empress. So of course these have got like pronouns. You know, if it's a male, it's going to be like an Earth Shaper. If it's female, it's going to be an Earth Mother type thing. So it'll sort of pick and choose those for you. You don't have to stick with those. You can go and change them. I did see some comments that, you know, like, I mean, with sort of like, you know, with pronouns and things like that, thinking that the game was actually very heavily into using pronouns. It really is just to put in how they're going to be then called. His arcane powers will shape the future of the skilled dwarfkin. Now, if you are concerned about pronouns, and personally I'm not, but if you are, and don't, like, it's not a feature in the game, so don't worry if you're actually anti sort of all that sort of stuff. So it's not like in your face. But when you do go across into here, you will actually have the various titles. So you got like a he, him, she, her. So they're the only choices you actually do have in through there. And then you get to change what. So if you can put whatever you want in through this side. But the he, him will change his. If we change it to her, she, her, it'll change it to her. So it's used in the story. That's how it's actually used. So it's not actually there. Again, I'm making a big deal out of something that shouldn't be a big deal. But this is I know that I have read comments from people who have been concerned when they've seen this, that it is actually something that's not that they're uncomfortable with it one way or another. So anyway, it's not a feature of the game. You also then can, once you actually make a change to anything, you can then sort of lock you can then re-roll to then get the other bits and pieces, which go through the first and last name. You can override these if you wanted to. This will be the metropolitan. Like if you decide, okay, Drumar sounds good, Enchanter sounds good, we can then just keep on sort of rolling for the bottom section down through here, Dwarven Runesmiths. That'll do. Okay, so if that's going to be our particular faction, we just then go onward. And again, you can just choose whatever you like, and we now enter the realm. So we then sort of start the game off using this particular group of dwarves. And because we didn't choose underground adaptation, so we're always going to start above ground in this sort of instance, unless we sort of chose that we were going to start underground. But anyway, that's them through there. It then gives us a summary of what we had chosen, and the starting magic, which is randomly selected from the first tome and also from the culture tome that we end up starting with as well. Okay, and then we're sort of into the actual game. So that's how we sort of then get started there. Now that's one way to create a faction. Another way to create a faction, if we just go and exit the game and go back to the main menu, is to not start a new game. So there's our character right there. Is to go and instead go down and create faction over here. And what this will then do is it'll put a custom faction in your areas. So if you just go across to custom faction or to faction in through this side, you can then go and customize even the existing ones and then create like a custom version of these if you wanted to. If we just go across to create faction, and again, if we just go and choose, for example, let's make a feline faction. So we'll just start in through here. Again, these come in with resolute and also desert adaptation. So they move better in the deserts. So it's probably a bit nuanced actually. Let's go with rats are quite good fun actually. These are new to the game. So quick reflexes, overwhelm tactics, we'll just leave those where they are. Probably barbarian. I'm just going to just quickly choose things. Barbarians are probably going to be sort of more in style with the rat, sort of like the rat swarms, the Skaven, if you like, from Warhammer. We'll just go and select that one through there. In this case, probably going to go with something that's a bit more chaotic. So maybe something like, for example, prolific swarmers, again, Skaven sort of style. Ritual cannibals would sort of suit them. So we're going full on chaos at this point. We'll just go select. Tome of the Horde has been chosen for us. This gives us, Blaze of the Horde. We've got Spawnkin, which makes them sort of smaller, more numerous, but more damage as well. So that sounds good for the rats. We'll select that one as our starting one. We can have somebody come in and rule them. Let's go and bring a powerful wizard in. Now we'll start off with a rat. We'll just go and choose, for example, again, I'm glad it did sort of have the pose at the back end there, but in this case, let's just go with a lightning orb, and we'll just change it into, say, a goblin. Why not? And then you can just chop and change the various sort of styles in through here as well, like the size of the actual goblin, arm length. I'll just go and make some changes in here. You've got the heads as well, like you can actually zoom in, as I said before, have a bit of a look to see what you're actually then working on. So you've got like different sort of head styles for the goblins, for each of the factions. Let's go with more of a Harry Potter, Adobe style of the goblin from Harry Potter. That looks good. You've got the eye colours, so you can sort of just move these around. You've got a whole range of different sorts of colours in through there. I'll just go that one, that'll be okay. Hairstyle, if you do have hair, some of them will have hair. There we go, that'll do. Actually, probably don't really need that one. Beard style as well, either nothing or different sort of styles of beard. Back in this sort of style as well. Hair colour on top. Just make it sort of, so it's a different sort of thing. Hair colour on the bottom. This will then sort of give some nuance to the actual hair a little bit, not very much. The outfit, again, you've sort of got like a different sort of style. I'll just zoom back out so you can sort of see what they actually look like. You've got a fair range of stuff that you can actually then go and add in here. So just have a look at that one through there. The helmet, so the different types of hats that you then want to sort of use, if anything at all. You can go back to just nothing. So just have that as the actual goblin. It looks pretty cool, actually. You've got different capes. There's a lot of customization here that you can sort of set up on the actual, on your units, which is very, very cool. And then again, this is separate to the style from the rest of your faction. And so once that one's done, you then go across and go to race, do the same sort of deal in through here until you get like a look that you're happy with. I'm happy with that, actually. That looks pretty cool. change your colours and so on and so forth up through here. Just do that. That'll do. All right, so select. And again, Chaos Prince, Mephie's Fireheart from the Rodent Bloodletter. Sounds good. Onwards. Now, when you go onwards, that's basically you've now created a faction. If we go to custom, and I forget what they were called actually, so I've completely forgotten what the name of it was. Who was it? It was a goblin. So we'll see the goblin, Mephie's Fireheart. There he is. So we can actually edit him if we wanted to. We can do whatever we like with this particular group. But that's the actual group there. So Mephie's Fireheart is in our group. Now we can't start the game here, so just be aware of that. We have to then go back out, go to new game, choose whatever you want. Just go select, go next, go to custom, and then just go and pick Mephie's Fireheart. So it's very, very easy to create the factions. So we just go and pick them. There they are. Your journey starts. Just select the faction. And then we'd come into the actual game itself. So they're the different ways of actually creating the heroes and the factions. So there's been like two videos, I guess, just going through that one. I'll just skip past this. There's the summaries, random spells, and we're ready to go. And there's our leader there. So we've actually now got him ready to go. So he's actually got this horse as part of his entourage. And ready to lead the rats to victory. It's really inspiring. There's so many different ways of playing the game, and it just looks so damn beautiful. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching, and I guess we'll be into the game in the next episode. So I'm not sure who we'll play as. I think we'll still just play as a vanilla faction. So I'll start a game off very, very easily in the next one with what I recommend for your first playthrough. And probably not your first playthrough, but just a good way to just get used to the game. So I'm going to be probably just using humans, just so you've got like a point of reference. Yeah, I'm not sure actually. I'll see how I go. I do like playing the other factions, but I think with humans we're getting like a nice baseline. Anyway, guys, I will catch you then. Thanks for watching.